Hi, I'm Adam Shiva, and in this video I want to talk about personal work as a tool to make more fulfilling relationships. So, one of the ways that we can make our relationships more fulfilling is by building better habits of communication, working out ways that we might get into a pattern of resentment or repetitively trigger our partner, and how to be more considerate and sensitive in these patterns of relating. It's really just straight relationship skills. But the other side of this is that, as I see it, each of us has this personal work that we're doing, some area where we maybe have a sensitivity towards an expectation of the generalized other and what is going to be put on to us, or some pattern that we kind of expect the world to give us. And that other often becomes our intimate partner. As is the case, we're the ones that are together the most, and we kind of put those core things of the world onto them particularly. So, as we kind of break those down, it's not a process of necessarily how we act in relationship, but a way of noticing our patterns and maybe breaking down the stories that are holding us back. To make this real, I want to talk about my own pattern in relationship, which, as I see it, has to do with expecting the world to want me to give 110%, and that there's some final analysis that's coming up soon, and if I really crush it right now, that I'll be proven valid and worthwhile and good. And if I do it my own way, my kind of natural flow, or even an endurance 80%, that's gonna lead to me being seen as worthless or kind of substantially inadequate. Well, that gets me into a process where I put pressure on myself so that I can really make things count. And I think this was adaptive once. I think there was a point, in my teenage years where I was pretty lazy, and that laziness was broken down by this expectation of myself. For me, an unconditional positive self-regard wouldn't have allowed me to change that. And yet, by putting this great pressure on myself, it's now become a big limitation, particularly because my current relationship, because my relationship with my children matters so much to me, that I put extra pressure on myself in those relationships, and that pressure can become so great that I feel like I can't do this, I'm choking. And then I pull away, then I'm less available, and actually, instead of pushing me to give more, it's actually holding back how much I can give. Because I put so much pressure on me that I get into a really potent anxiety state. Well, how could I break this down? As I investigated it, I thought maybe I need to let myself know that I'm not worthless, and well, I didn't have a belief I was worthless. That wasn't part of it. It was an anxiety that I would be judged worthless in the future. Oh, that's why it has so much to do with some other person, because I had externalized that judge towards the other, which had become my partner. Okay, so then what if I could make it so that I took on that there's going to be a final analysis and I'm going to do it to myself? And how could I make it something that wasn't so anxiety provoking? Well, if it was a judgment of today's performance, some days you do better and some days you do worse. And I couldn't always say that, oh, I did the best I could have ever done today. Maybe I did my best, but maybe I don't respect that today. But if it was based on character and principles, I could say, yes, generally I push past what's comfortable for me to do what I value. Yes, I don't accept what I already believe. I inquire deeper and try to find truth outside of my own expectations. Oh, those are values that I can value myself for. And I can pass the final analysis on my own. But that took a kind of pulling away from my world and saying, okay, how do I break down this core anxiety so that I can show up with greater presence? Because though it had pushed me in a way that had made me not so lazy in my past, it had now been making an anxiety that had been pulling from my presence and making it so I wasn't giving what I could be in my life. And I think that each of us has our own process, our own pattern that we're unfurling from our world before now that really affects our ability to show up in relationship. I'm curious how this might affect you, and I'd love to hear if this was helpful for you. Thanks so much for listening to me. I really appreciate being able to share, and I'm really glad to be back doing this. I recently had a baby, and that's been taking so much of my time, and I appreciate being back sharing with y'all. And thanks so much. Have a great day.